They were the home guard that captured the heart of a nation. At its peak, Dad's Army had ratings of 18 million with 9 seasons from 1968 to 1977, plus a radio version and a stage show and 2 films. Today we're looking past the stupid boy and doomed catchphrases to uncover what really happened to the heroes of Dad's Army. First, a performer that was never seen on screen, we only heard his voice. Bud Flanagan was the vocalist on the show's theme tune, written by Jimmy Perry and Derek Taverner. Flanagan was famous as a wartime entertainer, best known as being half of the comedy and music duo Flanagan and Allen with his partner Chesney Allen. The theme was his last recording. Flanagan's son Buddy had died of leukemia in 1956, so after Bud passed away on the 20th of October 1968, his estate started a charity to promote cancer research. Another unseen character was the voice of the narrator used in the first season for the opening of each episode. E.V.H. Emmett was a commentator for Gaumont British News and frequently narrated films from the 1930s to the 1950s. E.V.H. Emmett died in Ealing on the 7th of June 1971. Before the show ended broadcast, the first of the cast had passed away. Amy Dolby was the first actress to play Dolly Godfrey. She had regularly appeared in minor roles on TV since 1938. She died in London on the 10th of March 1969. Sadly, the first principal Dad's Army actor to pass away was also one of the youngest. James Beck worked on the radio and TV series of the show and had nearly completed recording the 6th TV season. His last recorded performance was for the radio series on the 13th of July 1973 at the Playhouse Theatre in London. He became ill soon after and died from a combination of heart failure, renal failure and pancreatitis 3 weeks later. He was just 44. In the TV Season 6 final episode, The Recruit, Mannering reads a note from Walker apologising for his absence as he had gone up to the smoke, meaning to London, to conduct one of his deals. What TV audiences didn't know that his death also caused the abandonment of a TV series co-starring Arthur Lowe, recreating episodes of Hancock by Ray Galton and Alan Simpson that had previously only been broadcast live. The busybody verger was played by Edward Sinclair. He was on holiday in Somerset when he suffered a heart attack and died soon after on the 29th of August 1977. He and Frank Williams, who played Reverend Timothy Farthing, had been due to play Ugly Sisters in Panto that Christmas. At his funeral service, Arthur Lowe stated, "With the loss of Teddy, it is now quite clear there will be no more Dad's Army." Nan Braunton was one of Godfrey's sisters, Miss Cissy Godfrey in seasons 2 and 3. Nan Braunton died in 1978 in Denville Hall, the retirement home for actors in London. John Laurie had small roles in many feature films and was a regular in Shakespearean productions on the stage and radio and TV. Despite it being reported that he felt a sitcom was beneath him, his part as the pessimistic undertaker Fraser was his best remembered role. John Laurie died on the 23rd of June 1980 from emphysema in the Chalfont and Gerrards Cross Hospital, Chalfont St Peter, Buckinghamshire. In addition to Dad's Army, Harold Bennett's best-known roles were in Wacko and Are You Being Served? He died of a heart attack on the 11th of September 1981. His last appearance in Are You Being Served was broadcast 3 months after his death. Arthur Lowe was the professional and pompous Captain Mannering, manager of the local bank. He also played his estranged brother Barry in the season 8 episode My Brother and I. His occasional hesitation when delivering his lines could be attributed to his refusal to have the scripts in his home, so he only learned his lines in the studio. Despite his generally declining health, including worsening narcolepsy, he maintained a busy professional life. Lowe gave a live TV interview on Pebble Mill at 1 on the 14th of April 1982. He was appearing with his wife Joan Cooper in Home at 7 at the Alexandra Theatre, Birmingham. Later that day, he collapsed from the onset of a stroke in his dressing room at the theatre. He died early the following morning at Birmingham General Hospital at the age of 66. A friend of Jones said the couple had agreed neither would go to the other's funeral. Their son Stephen said that his parents were not sentimental or religious, and Jones' coping mechanism was summed up in the adage, "The show must go on," as she was appearing in Home at 7 in Belfast on the day of the funeral. A memorial service was held on the 24th of May 1982 at St Martin in the Fields, attended by Lowe's wife and family, former colleagues and many friends. Talfryn Thomas joined Dad's Army in season 6 as the newspaper photographer. Fans were not keen on the character, who was not seen again after season 7. Talfryn died of a heart attack on the 4th of November 1982. Olive Mercer was the formidable wife of the Verger and captain of the ladies' netball team. She was the epitome of the stern battle-axe archetype. Olive Mercer passed away on the 2nd of January 1983 in Hillingdon, Middlesex. John Le Mesurier was constantly in work on radio, television and in the theatre from the early 1930s until a couple of years before his death. He was commissioned into the Royal Tank Regiment in 1941 and spent most of World War II in British India. He frequently played what he described in his autobiography as a decent chap, a character not unlike his own persona. This was notable in his portrayal of Sergeant Wilson in Dad's Army, his vagueness being used to great effect. In 1977 he was diagnosed with cirrhosis of the liver and ordered to stop drinking. His health declined from July 1983 when he was hospitalised twice after suffering hemorrhages. With his third wife, actress and author Joan Mallin, at his bedside, he said, "It's all been rather lovely," and slipped into a coma. He died on the 15th of November 1983. He wrote his own death notice for the Times in which he stated he had conked out and that he sadly misses family and friends. Geoffrey Lumsden often played pompous upper-class characters in film, theatre and television, so was well suited to the role of Captain Square in charge of the rival Eastgate platoon. Geoffrey Lumsden died in Westminster Hospital, London on the 4th of March 1984 from a coronary occlusion. Arnold Ridley played the frail, conscientious objector and platoon medic Charles Godfrey. However, he was a genuine war hero. He served in World War I and was wounded multiple times and was honourably discharged from the army due to his injuries. He then became an author, screenwriter and actor. He was also a genuine member of the Home Guard in World War II. He spent his later years at Denville Hall, a home for retired actors. He died in hospital on the 12th of March 1984 after falling at the home. Robert Ragland had bit parts and later on starring roles in film, television and theatre. He was best known as Colonel Pritchard in Dad's Army. After 2 heart attacks he decided to concentrate on television and he died on the 18th of July 1985 at Wandsworth, London. Janet Davis was a regular supporting actress on television, her best known role being Frank's mum, Mavis Pike. She died on the 22nd of September 1986 from breast cancer. Joan Cooper married Arthur Lowe in January 1948 after meeting 2 years earlier at the Manchester Repertory Theatre. She acted alongside him in a number of roles, playing 3 different characters in Dad's Army, including Private Godfrey's sister Dolly. A few years after Arthur Lowe died in 1982, Joan moved to his late parents' cottage in Hayfield, Derbyshire, where she lived until her death from stomach cancer on the 1st of July 1989. Kathleen Saintsbury worked in television mostly in the 1960s in supporting roles. She was Sissy Godfrey in one episode of season 8, her final TV role. She died in 1995 in Hillingdon, Middlesex. Eric Longworth appeared in Dad's Army as Mr. Claude Gordon, the Wilmington-on-Sea town clerk, having previously mainly had roles as businessmen and officials in films and television series. He died in Peterborough, Cambridgeshire, on the 20th of August 2008. John Ringham nearly wasn't seen in Dad's Army, having been in the pilot as Private Bracewell, but he wasn't included in the series as he was considered too similar to Godfrey. He later returned in the recurring role of Captain Bailey. He died of cancer on the 20th of October 2008. Wendy Richard worked in films and TV from 1961 until 2008. She is best remembered for her roles as Miss Shirley Brahms in Are You Being Served and Pauline Fowler in EastEnders. She had 2 roles in Dad's Army, Edith Parrish, a friend of Private Walker, and Shirley. She received a breast cancer diagnosis in 1996. Despite surgery, the disease returned in 2002 and again in 2008. This time it had spread throughout her body. Richard made a documentary detailing the last few months of her life before her death in February 2009. Wendy passed away on the 26th of February 2009 with breast cancer at a clinic in Harley Street, London. Her husband John Burns was at her bedside. Colin Bean mainly had supporting roles, and although he didn't say much, he was in 76 of the 80 Dad's Army episodes. Due to arthritis in later years, he concentrated on radio work. He died in Wigan Infirmary on the 20th of June 2009. Clive Dunn began acting in 1935 and spent his real World War II years as a prisoner of war. He was known for playing the oldest member of the platoon, although he was actually one of the youngest main cast members. He was only 48 when the show started. He played a couple of other old men, including recording the song Grandad in 1970, which was a #1 for 3 weeks in the UK in 1971. He died at his home in Bulicamgi, Portugal, on the 6th of November 2012 as a result of complications from an operation that had taken place earlier that week. Bill Pertwee was related to Michael Pertwee, the playwright and screenwriter, and John Pertwee, the actor, being a second cousin of Michael and John's father, the screenwriter and actor Roland Pertwee. Bill had been unwell for some time and died aged 86 on the 27th of May 2013. Pamela Cundell was a regular on TV from the late 1950s, appearing with stars like Peter Sellers and Frankie Howerd, and had roles in TV sitcoms and drama productions. She was the amorous widow and Corporal Jones's love interest, Mrs. Fox. The characters married in the very last episode of the series. Pamela Cundell died peacefully of natural causes on the 14th of February 2015. Stuart Sherwin played an assistant ARP warden to Chief ARP Warden Hodges. He died on the 23rd of April 2015 at Denville Hall Retirement Home for Actors in Northwood, London. Frank Williams began acting in repertory theatre and moved to TV in the 1950s. He was often cast as a member of the clergy and was the ever-frustrated vicar in Dad's Army. He died on the 26th of June 2022, aged 90. Ian Lavender attended the Bristol Old Vic Theatre School, his first public stage appearance being in 1967. The following year he was cast as the stupid boy, Private Pike, the youngest cast member. He was always in demand, appearing on radio, on TV, in drama and sitcoms, in comedy films and on stage in musicals and comedies. He survived bladder cancer and a heart attack in 2004. Lavender's passing on the 2nd of February 2024 marked the end of an era. He was the very last surviving member of the original platoon. David Croft was a comedy screenwriter, television producer and director. He was responsible for a generation of BBC sitcoms with writing partners Jimmy Perry and Jeremy Lloyd, including Dad's Army, Are You Being Served, It Ain't Half Up Mum, Heidi High and LOLO. In 1962, when he was producing Hugh and I, actor Jimmy Perry handed him an unsolicited script for a pilot called The Fighting Tigers about the British Home Guard during World War II. Croft liked the idea. The two men co-wrote the 9 series of the show, which was retitled Dad's Army, as well as a feature film and a stage show based on it. David Croft died in his sleep at his home in Portugal on the 27th of September 2011. Jimmy Perry received an Ivor Novello Award in 1971 for the theme tune for Dad's Army, Who Do You Think You Are Kidding, Mr. Hitler, which he co-wrote with Derek Taverner. Perry conceived the sitcom with the role of Walker in mind for himself. David Croft and BBC head of comedy Michael Mills convinced him to stay behind the camera. Perry did manage to sneak in a cameo appearance as the entertainer Charlie Cheeseman in the 6th episode of Season 1, Shooting Pains. James Perry died on the 23rd of October in 2016 at Hammersmith, London, after a short illness. A couple of performers who had regular roles on the show are still with us. In 2022, following the death of Frank Williams, Michael Knowles agreed to take over as president of the Dad's Army Appreciation Society, having been a great supporter of the society since its founding in 1993. Caroline Dowdeswell was seen in just 5 episodes as Janet King, who was a clerk working at Captain Mannering's bank. The men and women of Wilmington-on-Sea were far more than just characters on a screen. They were a generation of performers who poured their own real-life experiences of wartime Britain into every line and every laugh. While the physical platoon has now marched on, the legacy they left behind remains untouched by time. They taught us that courage comes in all shapes and sizes, and that even in our darkest hours, there's always room for a little bit of nonsense. So, to the cast of Dad's Army, thank you for the memories, thank you for the laughs, and for showing us that even a stupid boy can become a legend. Your watch may be over, but you'll never be forgotten.